one of her friends used to say it's easier to describe a whirlwind than it is to describe Anne-Marie, but very spunky, spontaneous, happy, lively, very adventurous. I miss that part of her.
When he remembers his sister, Anne-Marie, killed at École Polytechnique, it's hard sometimes for Jim Edward not to wonder what her life could have become.
Probably have a farm with 4 kids and lots of horses.
Do you think about that?
I don't know. Do I think about that? You try not to, just, But you sometimes you come to a point and you say, 25, 30 years later, where would she be at this point?
The collective memory of what happened is also important to Edward. In this memorial park, the city recently changed the wording on this sign to specifically call the act an anti-feminist attack.
It's an important step in making sure that we remember why this happened.
Before Marc Lépine started shooting, he separated the men from the women and shouted, "I hate feminists." In his suicide letter, he blamed feminists for ruining his life.
That's the letter.
Francine Pelletier was a columnist with La Presse newspaper at the time.
He says, the feminism have always made me rage. It occurred to me only then, in fact, how uneventful the whole women's movement, the whole second wave feminism had been. We had had a really easy time of it. And we had mistaken that easy time of it with the fact that everyone was sort of on board. As far as the possible resentment this could have created, we did not see it.
Lépine's letter included a list of women he said he would have killed if he'd had more time, including prominent feminists. Pelletier, on the right, was one of them.
It's just as horrible to kill women and to say that you hate women and proceed to mow them down as it is to say you hate feminists and mow them down. The difference is that he was aiming at our future. He was aiming at the progress that we had made.
Pelletier says there was reluctance among some in Quebec to see the killings as more than an isolated act of a troubled man, to recognize what she says is so clear, that women and feminists were targeted.
There was a great resistance to say that there was all even though we had refashioned this place, we were the most progressive province in Canada, that something as dark and as evil as the Montreal Massacre could happen here. It took us a long time to acknowledge it.
With time, some say the discourse around the tragedy has evolved, but it remains an undeniable part of École Polytechnique's history.
Right now, it's more of a thinking as a woman, it could have been me at that time for no other reason.
Today, these students say there's nothing radical about their choice to enter the field of engineering.
I didn't choose engineering to make a point necessarily. I chose engineering because that's what I'm interested in, what I like to do, and what's great is that now I'm able to do that without questioning.
What went through your mind walking into the school for the first time, knowing that that's something that had happened here?
We want this kind of guys don't decide what is going on. We decide for ourselves that, okay, this is the place we want to be. We don't have to focus on this kind of people.
And neither does Jim Edward. He wants to focus on those who were lost and making sure the next generation doesn't forget. Alison Northcott, CBC News, Montreal.